friends, welcome to or welcome back to the channel Jane Reads. So today I have another recommendations video for my Christian fiction bingo, which is taking place in 2026. This time I am recommending for February for prompt number 2, which is heart in the title. So all these books that I'm going to mention today have heart in the title. I will also tell you if they work for the other prompt for February, which is a fairy tale retelling or subtitle on the cover if you can't find or don't want to read a fairy tale retelling. But I thought I'd kind of mix things up a little bit and do this recommendations video first, mainly because it's the one I have the most recommendations for, because I have not read a ton of fairy tale retellings, so that video will be fairly short. But Taylor from Tales and Treats with Tay, along with a bunch of other booktubers, are hosting a readathon in February called Once Upon a February, where they are it's all based around fairy tale retellings. You don't have to read a fairy tale retelling, but that's kind of the main theme of the readathon. I will link Taylor's announcement video below, and I know that she will have some fairy tale recommendations for you coming up at some point. So let's focus on heart in the title. Okay, now all the books I'm going to mention at the beginning are books I have read and that I'm recommending to you. And then at the end of the video, I will tell you the books that are on my possibility list to complete this prompt. I will also tell you if they work for the second prompt, and you could just double up. The first book is contemporary romance, and it is Where Two Hearts Meet by Liz Johnson. Now, this is book 2 of the Prince Edward Island Dreams series. Had to check the series name to make sure I had it correct. So it takes place at the Red Door Inn, which you meet and get to know the setting in book 1. This was my favorite of this series. This one was a 4-star. I just loved the main characters in this one. And while I would encourage reading a book 1 to really get to know the setting, I don't think you have to. So this is book 1. We are following Caden, who is a baker and ends up working in the kitchen. And then we meet a guest and how does a relationship develop? It was fun, and it's set on PEI. The next one is also book 2 of a series, and that is When a Heart Stops by Lynette Eason. This is romantic suspense. It's book 2 of the Deadly Reunions series, and it says a killer's deadly game needs new players, but someone's about to change the rules. I have no idea if this carries over from book 1, like if characters carry over. I would assume typical for Lynette Eason is we follow characters that we've met in previous books, but storylines don't continue. But it has been quite a while since I read this. I gave it 4 stars back in 2014. So it is a book I do hope to reread this year. Maybe in February? I don't know. Because it is book 2 and I haven't reread book 1. So yeah. So romantic suspense. Let's go back to contemporary romance. My Stubborn Heart by Becky Wade. This is contemporary romance, as I said. Kate is burned out on work. She's worn down by dating relationships and in need of an adventure when her grandmother asks her to accompany her to Pennsylvania to restore the grand old house that she grew up in. Kate jumps at the chance, takes a leave of absence from her job as a social worker, and the two of them set off. Then she meets Matt, who is being hired to renovate the house. He's a former hockey player, keeps to himself, really grouchy in a way, and we see a relationship bloom between them, and I just really liked it. Matt has been through some hard stuff, and that's a reason he's cut himself off from people, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. Okay, another contemporary romance, and that is Paper Hearts by Courtney Walsh. It says, could the loss of her dream lead to her happily ever after? Abigail would never have guessed that love notes penned on paper hearts by an anonymous couple could restore her belief in love. As a business owner in the quaint town at the base of the Rockies, she's poured everything into dreams of expansion and resisting the matchmaking efforts of the Valentine volunteers who gather in her store to continue Love's Park tradition of stamping mail with the city's romantic postmark. So this takes place kind of around Valentine's Day, really Valentine's focused. So February would be the perfect time to read it. This is another book that is on my rereads bingo board. It is a bingo board. And that I'm hoping to reread. So really February would be the perfect time to read it. Okay, then we have The Heart Between Us by Lindsay Harrel. And it says, Megan has always wished for a different heart. Her entire childhood was spent in and out of hospitals, sitting on the sidelines while her twin sister, Crystal, played all the sports, got all the guys, and had all the fun. But even a heart transplant 3 years ago wasn't enough to propel Megan's life forward. She's still working as a library aide and living with her parents in her small Minnesota hometown, dreaming of adventures she plans to take once she's well enough. Meanwhile, her sister is a successful architect with a handsome husband and the perfect life, or so Megan thinks. When her heart donor's parents give Megan their teenage daughter's journal, complete with the unfulfilled bucket list, Megan connects with the girl she meets between the pages and is inspired to venture out and check off each item. Caleb, a friend from her years in and out of the hospital, re-enters her life and pushes her to find the courage to take the leap and begin her journey. She's thrown for a loop when Crystal offers to join her for her reasons of her own, but she welcomes the company and the opportunity to mend their relationship. As Megan and Crystal check items off the bucket list, Megan finds the fears that had been instilled in her after a lifetime of illness. She must choose between safety and adventure and learn to embrace the heart she's been given so that she can fully share it with the people she loves most. I remember this one being very emotional, but so touching. I really enjoyed it again. It's another one. Okay, then we have another contemporary romance, and that is Hearts and Goals by Carolyn Miller. Now, this is book 4 of the original 6 hockey romance series. Again, it's recommended you read this series in order because you get to know the group of guys from a Bible study group, online Bible study group. All the guys are hockey players, and so you see them trying to keep connect and encourage each other from their different cities that they're playing in. And so this one follows goalie, what's his name? Bo. Okay, so he's a goalie with a big heart, while she's afraid to trust again. Can he learn the language of love to win her heart? After a series of tragedies, Maggie's dreams had been confined to her work at Montreal's Botanic Gardens and caring for her little boy. Besides, wishing for more would simply be selfish, especially when she's already loved well. But when a surprising workplace encounter sees her in the arms of a handsome, sweet-talking stranger, she's soon forced to reassess whether romance might still be in her future after all. Working in the fairy tale city is a dream come true for Bo Nash, Montreal's new goalie. And while he's excited to explore all his new city has to offer, he hasn't counted on meeting a striking brunette with heart-melting eyes or so quickly bonding with her son. Even though Maggie's faith is a little tenuous and shadows from the past mean she might never really be ready to love again. An incident at the gardens forces Bo to choose between his dream job and the woman of his dreams, while an accident on the ice invites Maggie's deepest fears. Perhaps a pumpkin ball might help convince them to believe in happily ever afters once again. So this does take place in the fall, around Thanksgiving or fall harvest, Halloween time. Thanksgiving for Canadians. But I think it can be read at any time. Make sure I get all the ones that I do not own physically. Okay, let's go historical. So we have The Heart's Appeal by Jennifer Delamere. This is book 1. No, it's not. It's book 2 of the London Beginnings series, and it takes place in London in 1881. He never expected to see her again. Then she appeared with a most unexpected request. So we are following some sisters throughout the series. This follows one of the sisters. There is a storyline that carries over throughout the series, but then there's a second storyline that just takes place in this one. And she is an artist? Studied medicine. Yes, she's the one that's studying to become a doctor. Okay, this one is definitely book 1 of a series, and that is To Steal a Heart by Jen Turano. It is book 1 of the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency series, and we are following Gabriella, who gets caught trying to break into a safe, but she gets caught by somebody who also is trying to break into that safe, who she happens to know from her past days. And then we see the Bleecker Street Inquiry Agency, kind of the beginnings of it and how it gets started. And why was she trying to break into this safe? This is filled with hilarious moments throughout, lovely romance that I was totally rooting for. And then the side characters just make it that much more entertaining. Okay, Karen Witemeyer. So a standalone, To Win Her Heart. This is Texas, 1887. Do they have a fighting chance at love? After completing his sentence for the Let's try that again. After completing his sentence for the unintentional crime that derailed his youthful plans for fame and fortune, Levi looks to start over in the town of Spencer, Texas. Spencer needs a blacksmith, a trade Levi learned at his father's knee, and he needs a place where no one knows his past. Eden has sworn off men, choosing instead to devote her time to the lending library she runs in the town her father founded. When a mountain-sized stranger walks through her door and asks to borrow a book, she's reluctant to trust him. Yet, as the mysteries of the town's new blacksmith unfold, Eden discovers hidden depths in him that will tempt her heart. Eden believes she's finally found the man of honor and integrity. But when the truth about Levi's prodigal past comes to light, can this tarnished hero find a way to win back the librarian's affections? So we've got a librarian character, bookish. Yeah, this is another book that is on my rereads list for this year, so maybe February will be the time. And because I gotta do a book 2 of a series, because that just seems to be the trend here, we have The Heart's Charge by Karen Witemeyer. It's another historical romance set in Texas in 1894. And we are following is this the one? Yes. So there are 2 separate romances that take place throughout the story, and we really devote time to both of them equally, and I was rooting for both. We have met these 2 male characters in the book 1, where it follows the 4 horsemen, and we're just getting to know them, but the way they come and arrive and meet these women and what they do to help them in the situation they're in, I absolutely love this story. And again, there are some really hilarious moments throughout. And a book 1. We have Fairest of Heart by Karen Witemeyer. And this is book 1 of the Texas Ever After series. So this book is a fairy tale retelling. So it could work for the other prompts. So you could double up with this book. And it says, once upon a time in Texas, beauty has been nothing but a curse to Penelope. When she becomes a personal maid for a famous actress whose trope is leaving the Chicago to tour the West, she hides her figure beneath shapeless dresses and keeps her head down. But she still manages to attract the wrong attention, leading her prospects in tatters, and her jealous mistress plotting her demise. So yeah, this is kind of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs type of retelling, but we have 7 men who are kind of like grandfather figures. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This was a 5-star read for me because I just loved the grandfathers, is what my note says. So those are all the ones that I have to recommend for you. So no, that is not all the books. I have one more that I just realized I did not include as I was working on editing. I was like, where's that book? Oops, I forgot to mention it. And it was sitting behind me on that picture frame, picture easel that's empty right now. It was like in the video the whole time, and I completely forgot to pull it down to talk about it. And that book is Heart on the Line by Karen Witemeyer. This is book 2 of the Ladies of Harper Station. However, you do not need to read it in order to love this story. I read this book before I read book 1. And then I read book 1, and I have since reread this book. Actually, I just read it in December, and I love it. We are following Grace, who is a telegraph operator in Harper Station. Like, what was the name of the town? And she has formed a connection with Amos, who is another telegraph operator in a different town. And when Amos discovers that Grace might be in trouble, he comes rushing to town to try to help her, not realizing that Harper Station is a women-only town. There is one man that lives in the town who you met in book 1. And so book 1 kind of introduces you to the town and the characters. But I did not feel lost when I read this one, and the way they just formed a friendship, and the way, like, Amos is not like your hunky cowboy that you would expect in Texas at this time. He prefers to ride a bike over a horse. He wears glasses. He's a telegraph operator, doesn't work outside. So he's really much more of a bookish type personality. And yeah, I just absolutely loved him. And the things that he did to help Grace when he realized that Grace was being threatened. I highly recommend this one. So that is Heart on the Line by Karen Witemeyer. Now back to the original video. Now, I've already mentioned a couple that are on possibility lists for me, but I have more than just those 3 that I mentioned. So the first one is a new release that is coming out in February 3rd, so very beginning of the month, Hearts on the Fly by Toni Shiloh. This is a contemporary romance, and it's following a hockey player. So Jabari has spent his life on ice until an injury leaves him benched. When his teammates set him up on a blind date, he never expected to be sitting across from Val, his ex's sister. With Val's loyalty on the line and Jabari searching for a new purpose, can they make it to the goal together, or will their hearts wind up in the penalty box? Okay, then I have a historical fiction, Hearts of Steel by Elizabeth Camden. This is book 3 of the Blackstone Legacy series. I have not read book 2 yet, so I'm not ready to read this one, but it's a possibility. His steel empire has Let's try that again. His steel empire has catapulted him to the top of the world, but loving her could cost him everything. A couple that I do not own, but I would look at borrowing them. The first one is High Wire Heartbreak by Anna Schmidt. I have loved this cover, and I've been drawn to this book for so long, but I have not picked it up. I think it's been on my TBR, want to read list for probably 3 years now. It is part of the Doors to the Past series, so it is a dual timeline. In 1936, a party at the Ringling Mansion of I'm not going to try to say that name, in Sarasota, Florida, leads to a robbery and possible death. A successful historical mystery writer, Chloe, comes to this place to research her next novel. Chloe's fascination with the circus is rooted in family stories of her great-grandmother Lucinda, who reportedly was a trapeze artist of some renown. She's heard hints of scandal and perhaps larceny, but no details. Chloe's grandmother, rumored to be Lucinda's only offspring, was raised in an orphanage and never knew her mother. Intrigued as she is, Chloe has no intent of writing about Lucinda until she sees a poster featuring Lucinda as a star performer for a 70s birthday gala for John Ringling in May of 1936. From there, the trail goes cold. Who was Lucinda and what happened to her? It really is the cover that draws me in on this book. The last book is A Change of Heart by Madisyn Carlin. So this does say it's book 1 of the Hearts of Avarian series. I don't know if I said that series name correctly. And it says, she's a grumpy baker. He's a stubborn detective. All Josephine wants is to prove herself worthy of one day taking over her family's bakery. Her aspirations are crushed when a seemingly random robbery lands her a bodyguard. It wouldn't be so bad if said bodyguard didn't aggravate her to no end. Nor would it be so bad if that irritating personality wasn't offset by a charming smile and kind eyes. All Detective Camden wants is to prove himself worthy of his family's legacy. When he's assigned as the opinionated and feisty Joe's bodyguard, he sees his new job as a demotion. Still, despite her propensity toward being more like vinegar than sugar, he's drawn to her giving personality and gentle heart. But not everything is cookies and cupcakes. Danger grows, more attempts on Joe's life occur, and secrets lurk just beyond reach. Can two people who mix as well as oil and water put aside their differences in time, or will evil gain the upper hand and destroy the growing attraction between Joe and Camden? So Alma shared that she had found this book and said it would work for both prompts. And when I read that part of it, I was like, ooh, this sounds interesting. Then I read this part. A Change of Heart is a Christian fantasy novel with Cinderella vibes. A Christian fantasy novel. I don't read fantasy. So we're going to try it. I am going to try it. This is available on Kindle Unlimited, so I am going to try it. But we'll see, because it might not be. And this would work for both Heart in the title and a fairy tale retelling, because it has Cinderella vibes. So we'll see what happens. If you've read it, let me know. How strong is the fantasy vibes of it? And yeah, so that is all the recommendations and my possibilities for the prompt Heart in the title. Do you know what you are planning on reading for this prompt if you are taking part in the Christian Fiction Bingo? And if you haven't already decided, have I intrigued you by any of these books? I would love to chat in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video today, and I would love it if you would like and subscribe to the channel if you are not already subscribed. Have a great day. Bye.